Tank, how would you fight Floyd in his prime? Like if you were to fight Floyd in
Don't
his prime,
fight him.
if you guys were both in the...
Don't fight him.
I'm still retired, officially retired, but I didn't retire from entertaining people, and I didn't retire from making money. So this coming up soon in a couple of days, it's all about entertaining the people.
Between Tank and Floyd is that Tank got the type of power. When you got power that carry up like Pacquiao, you can move up many weight divisions, not just, the two that he primarily fought in. We saw him dribbling Mario Barrios off the canvas, so we saw him do it at 140.
Gervonta in response to Floyd Mayweather's recent challenge. Davis emphasized his own abilities and said he could compete with any elite opponent. However, Davis also mentioned their previous mentor-mentee relationship and implied that a fight with Mayweather wouldn't fit with his professional objectives.
Tank, how would you fight Floyd in his prime? Like if you were to fight Floyd in
Don't
his prime,
fight him.
if you guys were both in the...
Don't fight him. I wouldn't fight him. I mean, Floyd was good. He was top tier. I mean, me, I feel as though I could compete with any top fighter. I'm not saying me going at Floyd, but I'm saying like I feel as though my skills, and not to take nothing from Floyd, but I feel like my skills can compete with anybody that ever laced up a boxing game.
You're crazy to watch, bro. Like,
yeah.
You hit like a fucking train.
Gervonta Davis recently discussed his relationship with Floyd Mayweather, emphasizing that although Mayweather had a role in his career at one point, he has since moved on with his career regardless of Mayweather's influence. According to Davis, Floyd had already accomplished his goals in boxing and in his relationship with him. Floyd was continually saying, "I get to focus on me," and he had already completed his tasks. Despite any obstacles or difficulties that may have resulted from his association with Mayweather, Davis has remained focused on his own accomplishments, suggesting that any influence Mayweather had, whether positive or negative, was already in the past. He said that he might have felt the same way about taking a back seat if he had achieved as much in the sport as Mayweather did.
So how's your relationship with Floyd now? Is he still a part of your camp and crew or something, or not?
Floyd outdoing him. He always been like that. You know what I mean? So I gotta focus on what I'm focusing on. He already did what he had to do, bro.
For sure.
I ain't gonna lie. Me, if I did what I like what he did in the sport, I ain't gonna lie, I'd be the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't fault him for like stand to himself and things like that. But it's also a part of me type thing, like come back and help too. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's much love to the whole Mayweather promotion. You know what I mean? Ain't no bad blood type shit.
Floyd Mayweather clarified in an interview that although he no longer fights professionally, he still participates in exhibition bouts to remain active and continue earning money. He said, "I'm still retired officially, but I'm not retired from entertaining people, and I'm not retired from making money." Mayweather frequently likens himself to business moguls like Warren Buffett and Jeff Bezos, viewing his bouts as a chance to continue interacting with fans while earning enormous sums of money, stressing that he will continue to make wise financial decisions even after he retires from the official competition is probably why Mayweather called out Tank Davis for a possible fight. He knows that a fight with Davis, his former protege, would bring in a significant amount of money and attention. But Davis has made it clear that he is not interested in fighting Floyd because he wants to concentrate on his own career rather than take on his former mentor in a non-competitive exhibition.
The fight you've got coming up, Floyd, who do you think has taken the biggest risk taking that fight? Has it been you, Floyd Mayweather, or has it been Logan Paul, and why?
Well, it's always me, because at the end of the day, I'm always in a no-win situation. If I go out, I talked about this numerous times. If I knock him out in the first round, they're going to say it was a waste of our money. If I carry him, let him go a few rounds, then they're going to say, oh, Floyd Mayweather couldn't knock this guy out. But people got to realize I'm still retired, officially retired. But I didn't retire from entertaining people, and I didn't retire from making money.
Explains why Floyd Mayweather is not as skilled as Tank Davis at this stage of his career. He claims that although Mayweather was once the most technical and defensive boxer, his time has passed, and he is no longer at a level where he can compete with someone like Tank, who is in his prime. The adult highlights that Tank, unlike Floyd, who concentrated primarily on defense and counterpunching Tank, Davis is a complete fighter who blends skill, power, and strategic thinking in the ring. He fights with precision, making quick adjustments mid-fight, and has the ability to knock out his opponents at any time. Continuous pressure while keeping his own defensive awareness. He goes on to say that even though Floyd still has experience, he is no longer the same fighter who dominated boxing for years. So if a fight were to take place, it would be more for entertainment purposes than a true competitive bout. Mayweather would find it difficult to match Tank's speed, power, and ring IQ at this point. Davis is just today's best boxer.
My thing was, it wasn't that he's a big guy who could go to 140. It was that he's so talented and punched so hard that those skill sets can carry up with them in weight. That's what the great ones do. They have that ability. That's why I mentioned Floyd Mayweather wasn't 154, but his skill set was so good. The difference between Tank and Floyd is that Tank got the type of power. When you got power that carry up like Pacquiao, you can move up many weight divisions, not just, the two that he primarily fought in. We saw him dribbling Mario Barrios off the canvas. So we saw him do it at 140.
Tank. Many fans never imagined that Davis and his former mentor Floyd Mayweather would face off in a ring, but Davis has stated that he is willing to do so. The Tank versus Money concept Tank was considered Mayweather's protege, handpicked to be the next boxing superstar under Floyd's tutelage, but their relationship has had its ups and downs, with Tank eventually splitting from Mayweather Promotions to take full control of his career. Now, the prospect of them facing off in the ring adds another chapter to their complicated history. Mayweather is surreal, a student challenging his master, a young lion trying to overthrow the king who once ruled the sport for years. The reason this fight is so captivating because the clash between generations and styles, Floyd the unbeaten defensive, was established his reputation by making opponents pay with precise counterpunches. However, given that Floyd is retired and has only competed in exhibitions, many fans think that if this fight were to take place, it would be more of a spectacle than a competition. Miss Tank, on the other hand, is a strong, aggressive fighter with explosive knockout ability. The question is whether Floyd's experience and ring IQ would be enough to neutralize Tank's power, or would the younger, more determined fighter finally force the legend into a real war. The plot alone, a former pupil attempting to outdo his master, would make this one of the most anticipated bouts in boxing history. Whether it takes place in an actual fight or an exhibition, the prospect of Tank versus Mayweather is enough to get the boxing world talking.
YouTube breaking news. Gervonta Davis is now calling out Floyd Money Mayweather for an absolute dream fight. A real fight, not an expedition. Gervonta wants to take out the master. Student versus master. Gervonta versus Money and Floyd Mayweather. What do y'all think about this fight? And if it happens, who you got? Do you got Gervonta the student, or do you got Floyd Mayweather the teacher? What's up? I hope this fight happens because I will watch this shit. I will watch both records. Both people are undefeated. This will go down in history. What do y'all think? Throw a thumbs up, and if you know what's next, subscribe.
Tank Davis has criticized Floyd Mayweather for both his demeanor and the way other fighters treat him. Davis feels that many boxers attempt to align themselves with Mayweather's name rather than focusing on their own achievements, and he doesn't respect athletes who approach him for validation or approval only to later declare they are the best. What irritates the Tank, he also highlighted Floyd's conceit and incessant self-promotion, stating that Floyd is constantly talking about himself, and that even in discussions that aren't about him, Mayweather manages to shift the narrative back to his legacy. According to Davis, rather than genuinely assisting the next generation, Floyd is more focused on highlighting his own excellence.
First of all, Floyd don't never want to see no one like a fighter do better than them. Why the say Terrence Crawford should fight Benavidez? That don't make no fucking sense. He don't never want to see nobody be better than him. I'm telling you. You're next in line.
Just so you're next in line.
Is there like a
The last question, guys. Got to wrap
is there
up.
like a love-hate for Floyd though? Like
Yeah.
love the fighter?
Yeah, I love the fighter. Like, I ain't gonna lie, if he was like chill, like he'll be the smoothest. But he's not. You know what I mean? He's a great fighter. And my bad. And
you're good, man.
And he cause I don't want to say like he's just a scumbag, but it's like he's a great fighter, and sometimes he can be good, but it's like it's always I'm this.
This call-out is significant because Davis was once Mayweather's protege Floyd, who helped develop Tank's career and establish him as boxing's next superstar. However, their relationship soured, and Davis eventually left Mayweather Promotions to take control of his career. By speaking out, Davis is making it clear that he's done living in Floyd's shadow and wants to be recognized for his own skills, accomplishments, and legacy rather than constantly being compared to his former mentor. It remains to be seen whether this will result in a real fight, but one thing is for certain. Tank no longer views Mayweather as someone he needs to impress, but rather as someone. Those who are clinging to the past as boxing endures when Floyd Mayweather was seen correcting a reporter who called him one of the greatest of all time. Instead of accepting the compliment, Floyd looked irritated and insisted that he was not just one of the greatest, but the greatest of all time. The situation became even more awkward when the reporter asked Gervonta Davis how he felt about fighting someone who was regarded as one of the greatest in history. Instead of letting Davis respond, Mayweather interrupted and forced the reporter to acknowledge his undisputed record victories. Regarding accomplishments, he then coerced the reporter into enumerating them, making it apparent that he desired verbal affirmation, that he was the greatest. This instance exemplifies Davis's claim that Floyd is constantly self-centered, even when other fighters are the center of attention. Mayweather manages to shift the focus back to his own career, demonstrating why Tank has separated himself in order to forge his own legacy free from the looming shadow of his old mentor.
You're backed by arguably one of the greatest of all time, right?
What are we rating ourselves on? What are we rating on?
Okay.
Well, we're gonna know in the least amount of fights. You know, I didn't have to have 70 fights or 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And in the least amount of fights?
Yes, you did.
Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that...
The greatest of all time.
Okay.
All right.
Floyd Mayweather is renowned for his self-assurance, yet occasionally that assurance degenerates into open dispute not only with fighters, but even with members of the media. In one instance, Mayweather got into a heated argument with a news anchor, which turned a routine interview into a personal feud over money. Instead of directly responding to the anchor's question about Mayweather's wealth, Floyd shifted the topic to the anchor's credibility by saying that his job doesn't pay as much as mine does. This was a blatant attempt to disparage the reporter, suggesting that his financial success and he was superior due of his rank. The exchange swiftly deteriorated as the host attempted to refocus the discussion on boxing, but Mayweather refused to back down. This moment brought to light Floyd's long-standing practice of using money to establish dominance over opponents both inside and outside of the ring, as his financial success is indisputable. Moments like this highlight why some people think Mayweather is conceited and frequently utilizes his riches as a coping strategy to convert even casual encounters into pointless arguments rather than having meaningful conversations.
Just a guy with a job. I have a job though. So who would you fight next?
And guess what? Your job don't pay like my job.
Well, it depends.
Your job don't pay like my job.
That brings me to another point. I can make I can make 20 million in 18 months because I want to. Because I want to come back and steal some more money. I'm in a whole new era, dominating That's right.
fighters.
And he's a whole new fighter, Floyd.
A whole new fighter.
Oh yeah.
And when I beat him, what they gonna say? Oh well, we knew this was gonna happen. Floyd Mayweather was a bigger fighter, or he can outbox him, or this. It's always excuses.
Tank Davis and Floyd Mayweather had their first major altercation when Tank was scheduled to fight Jose Pedraza for his first world title. At the time, Davis was still under Mayweather Promotions, but tension began to rise when Tank felt Floyd was pressuring him into fights he wasn't prepared for. Tank later explained that Mayweather wanted him to fight even more elite opponents, at that time, despite his lack of experience. Money was another problem that caused a rift. Tank eventually disclosed that Mayweather didn't even pay him that much for the Pedraza fight, despite the fact that it was a title bout that helped launch his career. This financial dispute was one of the first signs that Tank felt underappreciated under Mayweather's management. There were further issues besides money and the matchmaking location. Mayweather wanted Tank to remain in Las Vegas so he could train under Floyd's watchful eye, but Tank didn't like being controlled in that way, and these early arguments set the stage for the eventual fallout between them. Floyd didn't want Tank to stay in his hometown of Baltimore because he thought it was full of too many distractions that could harm his boxing career.
I remember first hearing an issue between Floyd and Gervonta before Gervonta fought Pedraza. And the issue I heard was that Floyd didn't want Gervonta to stay in Baltimore because he felt there was too many distractions for him in Baltimore, and he wanted to stay in Vegas. And the story I was told at that time was that Floyd gave Gervonta one of his penthouses or one of his apartments in the Palms Hotel, and he said, "This is your apartment. I'll furnish it for you." He got him a Jeep. At the time, Gervonta was not a world champion. He got him like a Jeep, a 4x4. You know, he basically said, "I'll make it comfortable for you. I don't want you to go to Baltimore. I want you to stay here. I don't think Baltimore is the place for you," you know? And what I was told was Gervonta sold all the furniture, sold the Jeep, and went back to Baltimore and bought a Benz. You know, with that's what I was real. That's what I was told at the time. So
Tank Davis talked candidly about his disappointment with some boxing figures, explaining how he had great admiration for them at first, but later realized they weren't who they portrayed themselves to be. He said that once you get around someone you're looking up to so much, and they're not who they say they are or who they portray themselves to be, this realization left him feeling disappointed and led him to decide to go his own way and do things on his own terms.
It just, once you get around someone, you be looking up to these people so bad, and like once you get around, they don't be who they say they is or who they portray to be. You be like, damn, it's damn near like it's a letdown. So you be more so hurt off, you know. So it's like I just go my own way, like I do my own thing and things like that. So that's more so that's what it was, and that's cool. It's just like you just don't vibe with like what they on, and that's, you know. I mean, I've been in a situation where though, like, you know, I was in a lose-lose situation, and now came out still on top.
With Floyd? You said, what was the lose-lose situation? What you mean?
Just a little situation that he put me in to, you know, make me lose. But he thought I was gonna lose. But
you talking about like a boxing match or?
Yeah, a boxing match.
Ooh, if you don't mind. If you don't want to, it's fine.
Joseph Pedraza, my first world title. I was 16-0. I was 16-0. 16-0. And I was 21 at the time. And I haven't fought in like 7 or 8 months.
Tank went on to explain how Floyd Mayweather put him in a lose-lose situation, saying that he expected him to lose. When asked what he meant, Davis clarified that Mayweather had set him up to fight Jose Pedraza for his first world title because he didn't think he was ready and assumed he would lose. When Mayweather's team finally returned with an opportunity, Tank revealed that he was only 21 years old, 160, and hadn't fought in 7 to 8 months prior to facing Pedraza. Davis also struggled financially, stating that he was likely earning about $10,000 per fight for the 6 months he had no fights, which was difficult given his career was still developing. They forced him to accept the Pedraza bout by saying, "You have to fight this boxer," which is Tank proved everyone wrong by winning the fight and becoming a world champion, demonstrating that even when others tried to question him, he still prevailed. Jose Pedraza Davis recalled saying that he had little choice but to take the bout despite being put in that difficult circumstance.
Around that time, I wasn't making that much money. I probably was making like $10,000 a fight. So 6 months is crazy to not fight, you know. So when they came back and was like, all right, you gotta fight. He was like, you gotta fight this fighter, which is Joseph Pedraza. If you don't fight him, you're not fighting. You sitting on a shelf. So I had to fight him. In the midst of all that happened, I got evicted. I had to sell my jewelry. So now, and remind you, I'm letting them boxers that you talking about, I'm putting them on game.
That concludes today's video. Watch this space until the next one.